modification. What is meant by modification? That is nothing but what is meant by root modification. That means a part of the root, a part of a root or complete root, a part of a root or a complete root, it undergoes modification in order to perform new function apart from older function which are suitable to the new environment. That is nothing but root modification. What is meant by root modification? A part of a root or a complete root in order to perform new functions apart from older functions which are suitable to the new environment. That is nothing but root modification. In this root modification, what is the first type of root modification? That it is nothing but epiphytes. That is nothing but epiphytes. That is nothing but which one? Epiphytes. What is meant by epiphytes means these are the smaller plants which grows in evergreen forests. That means these smaller plants, if they are grown in evergreen forest, there the evergreen forest, it is totally occupied by taller trees. In between that, if these plants, if these epiphytes, if they are grown on the soil, they does not receive sufficient amount of sunlight, they does not prepare their own food materials. One or another day, these epiphytes, these are the smaller plants which undergoes death. In order to overcome that one, these epiphytes, they take shelter. They take which one here? Take shelter on the branches of the, bigger trees. Take shelter on the branches of the bigger trees. So, in order to overcome that one, these epiphytes, they are taking shelter on the branches of the bigger trees in order to receive sufficient amount of sunlight, in order to prepare food materials by means of which it can prepare their own food materials by means of a process namely known as photosynthesis. What is the example for epiphyte means? That is nothing but vanda. What is the example for epiphyte? That is nothing but vanda. That means vanda, whether it shows two types of roots, that means whether it is showing morphologically two types of roots means yes, it shows morphologically two types of roots. Of that one root, it is nothing but clinging roots. One root, it is nothing but clinging roots, and another root, it is nothing but velamin roots. One, it is nothing but clinging root, another one, it is nothing but velamin root. Now, can you tell me, differentiate between clinging and velamin roots? It is very easy. See here. Now, morphologically the roots are of two types in vanda. Of that one, it is nothing but clinging roots. One, it is nothing but which roots means clinging roots. These clinging roots, whether they are smaller in size compared with velamin roots, yes, it is smaller in size. These clinging roots, it is smaller in size. Compared with which one means compared it with velamin roots. Whether these roots, whether they are green in color or present in brown in color, they are present in brown in color. They are present in which color? Brown in color. Whether they are branched or unbranched, that means these clinging roots, whether they are showing branching or they does not shows branching, that means it shows branching. These are nothing but the branches, so it is called as, branching. And what is the important function that is performed by means of this clinging roots? That means it helps in fixation. It helps in, what is the important function here? It helps in fixation. That means this clinging roots helps in fixation on the branches of the bigger trees. So this is about clinging roots. And next goes to velamin roots. Velamin roots, whether they are longer in their length compared it with clinging roots, yes, these velamin roots, they are longer in length. These velamin roots, they are in which one here? they are longer in length. And whereas whether they are freely hanging in the air means yes, these velamin roots, they are freely hanging in the air. So these velamin roots, they are freely hanging in the air, freely hanging in the air. And next one, whether these are present in green in color or non-green in color. They are present in non-green in color, that means they are present in brown color. That means they are present in which color? Brown color. And what is the important function that is performed by these velamin roots? Means before that, what is meant by velamin? Velamin, it is a special type of epidermis. Velamin, it is a special type of epidermis, special type of epidermis. Velamin, it is a special type of epidermis. Whether it is multi-layered, that means it is nothing but multi-layered. It is a multi-layered dead hygroscopic, it shows velamin tissue. It is multi-layered dead and it is showing hygroscopic nature, and it shows which nature? Hygroscopic nature. What is meant by hygroscopic nature? That means velamin roots, it is a special type of epidermis which is multi-layered dead hygroscopic velamin tissue it shows. What is the important function of this velamin roots? Means it helps in absorption of moisture from atmosphere. It helps in absorption of which one from atmosphere? Moisture from atmosphere. It helps in absorption of moisture from atmosphere. That is performed by velamin roots. Now once again I am explaining here what is the epiphytes. What is the example for epiphyte? That is nothing but Vanda. It belongs to which family? Means Orchidaceae family. It belongs to which family? Orchidaceae family. Why? So whether this epiphytes, that is nothing but Vanda, it is grown in which areas? Means mainly grown in evergreen forest. That evergreen forest, it is totally occupied by taller plants. These plants, if they are growing on the soil, they does not receive sufficient amount of sunlight, due to which one or another day they will undergo death. In order to overcome themselves, these epiphytes, they are taking shelter on the branches of the bigger trees. On the branches of the bigger trees. That means these epiphytes, they are showing two types of roots. Morphologically, it shows two types of roots. Yes, that means this Vanda shows dimorphic roots. Vanda shows which roots here? Dimorphic roots. That means roots are classified into two types. Morphologically, roots are of two types. One, it is clinging root. Another one, it is velamin root. Clinging root, it is smaller in size, brown in color, and it is showing branched, and it helps in fixation upon the host branches, fixation upon the host plants. Whereas velamin root, it is longer in length, freely hanging in the air, and it is present in brown in color. It is branched or unbranched, means it is also branched. It is also branched. And what is meant by velamin? Means it is a special type of epidermis which is present in multi-layered dead hygroscopic velamin tissue, helps in absorption of moisture from atmosphere. That means, can you say, this velamin roots, it plays an important process, namely known as, in order to absorb moisture from atmosphere. That is nothing but imbibition. That is nothing but which one here? Imbibition. That means this velamin roots plays an important role in imbibition, which helps in moisture, which helps in absorbing the moisture from atmosphere. And can you tell me whether these epiphytes, whether they are showing xerophytic characters or mesophytic characters? These epiphytes, they shows xerophytic characters. Why? Because these plants, they are not having direct contact with the soil. If they shows direct contact with the soil, there is a continuous water supply is present. But as it grows on the branches of the bigger trees, it shows, it does not shows continuous water supply. That means it exhibits xerophytic characters. That means these epiphytes, they are showing xerophytic characters. Yes, they are showing which type of characters? Means xerophytic characters. They are exhibiting xerophytic characters. Why? Because it does not show direct contact with the soil. As it grows on the branches of the bigger trees, if the atmosphere contains moisture, it can absorb. If it does not contain moisture, it cannot absorb. That means it plays an important role in the xerophytic adaptations. So this is about the epiphytes. Next goes to assimilatory roots. Next modification, that is nothing but assimilatory roots or photosynthetic roots. What it is showing me, what is the example for assimilatory roots and are also called as photosynthetic roots means one example, that is nothing but Taeniophyllum. That is nothing but which plant here it is called as Taeniophyllum. That means this Taeniophyllum, whether it shows a shoot system means it does not show shoot system. That means whether the Taeniophyllum it is called as shootless epiphyte. Yes, it is called as shootless epiphyte. It is called as shootless epiphyte. Why? Because in assimilatory roots and photosynthetic roots, this Taeniophyllum as it they does not shows shoot system, it does not show stem, it does not show leaves. So this Taeniophyllum it is called as a shootless epiphyte. That means whether it shows root system. That means whether it shows root system. Yes, it shows a root system. It is showing the shootless epiphyte, that is nothing but Taeniophyllum. It shows which system means a root system. Can you call this Taeniophyllum as one of the epiphyte? Yes, Taeniophyllum it is one of the epiphyte. Here the Taeniophyllum it is one of the epiphyte. And what is the epiphyte we already studied? That is nothing but Vanda. Vanda it is nothing but one of the epiphyte, and is the Taeniophyllum it is one of the epiphyte. Can you call epiphytes as space parasites? Yes, epiphytes are also called as space parasites. Why? Because they are depending upon the host for only space, but not for water, but not for minerals, but not for food materials, So these epiphytes they are also called as space parasites. These epiphytes they are also called as space parasites. And what happens means in this Taeniophyllum, it shows roots. How many types of roots it shows? But they didn't given in your textbook. But what happens when you see the diagram? In the diagram, they are taking shelter on the trunks of the bigger trees. That means it is called as epiphyte. That means this epiphyte it shows two types of roots. Yes, it shows two types of roots. One root it is nothing but clinging roots. One root it is nothing but clinging roots. Another root it is nothing but velamin roots. Another root it is nothing but which root? Velamin root. That means this epiphyte whether it is also showing dimorphic roots. Yes, they also shows dimorphic roots. So this epiphyte also shows dimorphic roots. Why it is showing dimorphic roots means as it possesses two types of roots, that is nothing but clinging root and as well as velamin root. So it is called as dimorphic roots can be seen in epiphyte. What is that epiphyte? Namely known as Taeniophyllum. And this Taeniophyllum whether it is a shootless epiphyte? Yes, it is a shootless epiphyte and it shows only root system. It shows how many types of roots? Two types of roots. One it is clinging root, another one it is nothing but velamin root. Already I told you what is the main function of the clinging root? Helps in fixation. These clinging roots helps in fixation on the branches or on the main trunks of the bigger trees. And what is the function of the velamin roots? As you already know that Vanda it performs only one function. But whereas this velamin roots it performs two functions. Velamin roots it performs how many functions means two functions. One it is helps in absorption of moisture. One it is helps in absorption of moisture. One it is helps in absorption of moisture. Due to the presence of dead hygroscopic velamin tissue, it plays an important role in the absorption of moisture. That means, think this one is the velamin root. For example, suppose you take this one as velamin root. What happens means, the outer surface of the velamin root, it contains, this outer surface of the velamin root, it contains dead hygroscopic velamin tissue. So it can absorb moisture from atmosphere. Whereas the inner surface of the velamin root, as it contains chlorenchyma, as it contains which one, as it contains chlorenchyma, it plays an important role in photosynthesis. That means whether it can prepare their own food materials. Yes, they can prepare their own food materials by means of a process namely known as photosynthesis. What is the difference between Vanda and Taeniophyllum means, both of them they are showing dimorphic roots, both of them they are showing clinging roots, which plays an important role in same function. But whereas in Taeniophyllum and whereas in Vanda it helps in only absorption of moisture from atmosphere. But whereas in Taeniophyllum velamin roots, it performs two functions. One function that is nothing but helps in absorption of moisture due to the presence of dead hygroscopic velamin tissue which is present towards the outer surface. Whereas the inner surface, as it contains chlorenchyma, it plays an important role in photosynthesis. That means in Taeniophyllum, this velamin roots, it performs two functions. One, it is helps in absorption of moisture from atmosphere, and second one, it is nothing but it plays an important role in photosynthesis. What is meant by chlorenchyma? Can you tell me? That means chlorenchyma, that is nothing but chloroplast plus parenchyma. Chloroplast plus parenchyma itself, it is nothing but chlorenchyma, due to which it is present in the inner surface of the velamin root and it can perform photosynthesis. Now, can you tell me whether this Taeniophyllum also exhibits xerophytic characters? Yes, it also exhibits xerophytic characters, as it does not shows direct contact with the soil. If it shows direct contact with the soil, it helps in the continuous water supply is present. But here it is not growing on the soil, it is growing on the branches or the main tree trunks. So it also exhibits xerophytic characters. It also exhibits which characters here? Xerophytic characters can be seen here. Okay. And this is about the assimilatory roots or photosynthetic roots. And can you tell me, this in Taeniophyllum, the photosynthetic roots are present in which shape? They are present in ribbon shape. They are present in which shape here? Ribbon shaped photosynthetic roots are present. Ribbon shaped photosynthetic roots are present in Taeniophyllum. So now goes to storage roots or tuberous roots. And storage roots are tuberous roots. So what are the main examples? Means one, it is nothing but carrot. One, it is nothing but carrot. What is the scientific name of carrot? That is nothing but Dacus carota. That is nothing but which one here? Dacus carota. Dacus carota, it is a scientific name of the carrot. And what is the scientific name of this? This is nothing but radish. The common name namely known as radish. What is the scientific name of radish? Means Raphanus sativus. The scientific name namely known as Raphanus sativus. And what is the common name of this plant, of this root? That is nothing but turnip. What is the scientific name of turnip? That is nothing but Raphanus brassica. That is nothing but Brassica oleracea variety napus. Brassica oleracea variety napus. In storage roots are tuberous roots. Storage roots are tuberous roots. Mostly which one shows? Means biennial plants shows storage roots are also called as tuberous roots. What is meant by biennial plant? What is meant by biennial plant? Can you tell me what is meant by biennial plant? Means The plant which completes their life cycle in 2 years, that is nothing but biennial plant. And what are the examples for these biennial plants? One, it is whether it is carrot, one it is nothing but carrot, that is nothing but Dacus carota. It is one of the dicot. It is one of the dicot. What happens in this carrot, and what is the scientific name is Dacus carota? It is one of the dicot. During first year, what happens means it shows extraordinary vegetative growth. That means more number of leaves are produced. That means during first year, what happens? Excellent vegetative growth is present. Very excellent vegetative growth is occurring. Due to which more number of leaves are produced during a vegetative growth, no? Yes. Due to which it can perform photosynthesis? Yes, it can perform photosynthesis. Due to which it can prepare their own food materials? Yes, it can prepare their own food materials. From this synthesized food materials, part of the food materials is utilized by the plant for their metabolic activities. And remaining part of the food materials, they are moving from upper to downwards. They are moving from upper to downwards. That means whether it is moving in basipetal direction, yes, it is moving in which direction? Basipetal direction. Moving in basipetal direction, due to which that food materials, whether they are stored in roots here, yes, it is stored in roots. That means in this carrot plant, Dacus carota, it shows which type of root system? It shows a taproot system. As it is one of the dicot, it shows which type of root system here? Taproot system. In taproot system, which one stores food material? Complete taproot system stores food materials. No, that is one of the wrong answer. Why? Because it is storing only, it stores only primary root, or taproot only stores food materials. Primary root are also called as which one? Taproot only stores food materials. But what happens to these lateral roots and rootlets and root hairs means they perform their older function by absorbing water and minerals. That means modification, I already told you. What is meant by modification? A part of a root undergoes modification in order to perform new function, that is nothing but storage of food. Apart from older function, that is nothing but absorption of water and minerals, which are suitable to the new environment. I already told you. So here in this carrot, what is the scientific name? Dacus carota. It is one of the dicot plant, and it is showing taproot system, and it is one of the biennial plant. As it plays an important role in 2 years. That means the life cycle completes in 2 years. In first year, what happens? Excellent vegetative growth occurs, due to which more number of leaves are produced, and here due to which photosynthesis is occurring. Yes, food materials are synthesized. Yes, and that part of the food material is utilized by the plant for their metabolic activities. Yes, and the remaining part of the food material, they are moving in basipetal direction, and they are stored in taproot of taproot system, or primary root of taproot system, due to which this root system getting bulged, getting tuberous, so it is called as storage roots are also called as tuberous roots. And what happens to these lateral roots and rootlets and root hairs? Whether they are also helping in storage? No. Why? Because they plays an important role in the older function, that is nothing but absorption of water and minerals. And if this root crop, if it is harvested during second year, what happens? That means during second year, the food materials, they are moving in upward direction. That is nothing but which direction means? Acropetal direction. They are moving in which direction? Acropetal direction, for the production of flowers and fruits and seeds. For the production of fruits and seeds, that food materials, they are moving in upward direction. That is nothing but acropetal direction. So this is about the carrot plant. One carrot plant is equal to one carrot, or whether it is equal to 2 carrots, or whether it is equal to 3 carrots means one carrot plant is equal to one carrot. Why? Because as it shows taproot system, as it shows primary root and taproot, it stores only food materials. And next goes to radish, and it is nothing but Raphanus sativus, as it is also belonging to dicot. As it is also belonging to dicot, it shows which type of root system? Same. Taproot system it shows. And what happens means here, due to the storage of food materials in this taproot or primary root, it becomes bulged, it becomes tuberous, and it attains which shape means, here it attains a fusiform shaped, it attains a fusiform shaped or spindle shaped. Spindle shaped. And whereas here the radish it is showing fusiform shaped or spindle shaped, that means carrot attains which shape means conical shape. Carrot attains which shape due to the storage of food materials? It is showing a conical shape. But whereas in Raphanus sativus, that is nothing but radish, it due to the storage of food material, it attains fusiform shaped or spindle shaped. Here also one radish plant or one Raphanus sativus plant is equal to one radish only. One radish only. Next goes to turnip. In this turnip, what is the scientific name? Brassica oleracea variety napus. It is belonging to one of the dicot only. Why? Because as it shows taproot system. And what happens due to the storage of food materials? It attains which shape means? It attains a napiform shape. It attains which shape here? Napiform shaped or top shaped. Napiform shaped are also called as top shaped. In this also, taproot system is completely storing food materials. No. In this what happens? Only primary root or taproot only it stores food materials, but whereas lateral roots and rootlets and root hairs, they are not storing food material. They helps in the absorption of water and minerals. If this complete root crops, if they are harvested at the end of second year, who will be the losser? That the farmer will be the losser. Why? Because during second year, that reserved food materials which are stored in the root during first year, during second year, what happens? They are moving in upward direction, moving in acropetal direction, which are utilized for the production of fruits and seeds. So here, if they are harvested at the end of second year, that there the farmer will be the losser. Farmer will be the losser. This is about storage roots or tap roots. Storage roots or tuberous roots, and remaining examples are present. Next goes to Ipomia botatus, that is nothing but sweet potato. What happens in this means, see here, think this is the stem. Think this is the stem. Stem is differentiated into nodes and internodes. Think this one is nothing but think this is nothing but stem which is differentiated into nodes and as well as internodes. Nodes and as well as internodes. Apical portion of the node, which one is growing means the leaves are growing. Apical portion of the node, which one is growing here? Leaves are growing. Leaves are growing like this. And what happens towards the basal part of the node? Basal part of the node, it gives rise to adventitious root. Basal part of the node, it gives rise to which one here? Adventitious root. That means whether it is called as, it is present in which one here? Soil. But whereas the leaves are aerial, stem is aerial, whereas the roots are underground. Roots are underground. That means opposite to the leaf. What I am saying here? Opposite to the leaf, a single adventitious root due to the storage of food material, due to which it becomes which one means tuberous. Due to which it becomes tuberous, and they are producing tuberous adventitious roots. It is producing which roots here? Tuberous adventitious roots. Ipomia botatus, nothing but sweet potato. In this, the stem itself, it is crawling over the ground, and whereas it is differentiated into nodes and internodes. From the apical portion of from the upper part of the node, what happens? Leaves are arising. From the basal part of the node, that is nothing but opposite to the leaves, single adventitious root is developing. That single adventitious root, due to the storage of food material, it becomes tuberous, and it becomes tuberous. So that's why it shows adventitious tuberous roots can be seen in Ipomia botatus. Can be seen in the interma of Ipomia botatus. What happens in Ipomia botatus? That means a single problem I will tell here. This Ipomia botatus plant. Ipomia botatus plant. If it shows 19 internodes. If it shows 19 internodes. Ipomia botatus plant, if it shows 19 internodes, it shows how many tuberous taproots? How many? It shows how many tuberous taproots. What is the answer for this means? Most of them they will say 19 internodes means it shows 20 nodes, that means it shows 20 tuberous taproots. But it is one of the wrong answer. Why? Because it does not show taproot system, no. It shows which type of root system? That is nothing but tuberous adventitious roots. It shows tuberous adventitious root. The same problem, if they are asking how many tuberous taproots, means 0. Why? Because it does not show taproot system. But as it shows adventitious roots, so how many tuberous adventitious roots means? Then the answer is 20. How many tuberous taproot means? Then the answer is 0. Then the answer is 0. This is about Ipomia botatus. And the next example, that is nothing but asparagus. Next example, that is nothing but asparagus. In asparagus, what happens means, from the basal portion of the stem, basal portion of the thing, this is the basal portion of the stem. Basal portion of the stem, it shows cluster or fasciculated tuberous fibrous roots can be seen. Yes, from the basal part of the stem, what happens? Fibrous roots are developing. These fibrous roots, due to the storage of food materials, they develops into cluster of, which one here? Cluster of or fasciculated tuberous fibrous roots can be seen only in asparagus. Only in which plant here? Asparagus. Can you tell me this asparagus, whether it is a monocot or dicot? Means it is one of the monocot. This asparagus, it is one of the monocot. It is one of the monocot belonging to which family? Means Liliaceae. Belonging to the family namely known as Liliaceae. As it is one of the monocot, asparagus belonging to Liliaceae, that means it is nothing but monocot. What happens from the basal portion of the stem? A cluster or fasciculated fibrous roots can be seen due to the storage of food materials. This cluster of fibrous roots, they develops into cluster of fibrous tuberous roots. That means in asparagus, cluster or fasciculated tuberous fibrous roots can be seen only in asparagus. So we completed this asparagus also now. And what happens means, when we are talking about adventitious roots, in that one example, that is nothing but it is nothing but stilt roots are also called as brace roots. Stilt roots are also called as which roots, Amma? Brace roots. So in this, stilt roots are brace roots. In which plants they shows stilt roots or brace roots? Means they are present in maize, they are present in sugarcane, they are present in sorghum, etc. That means what happens means, in maize, sugarcane and sorghum, these stilt roots are brace roots. Where it is developing? From the apical portion of the node or from the basal nodes these stilt roots are developing? Means, see here, this is nothing but the sugarcane. Can you call that one as maize? Can you call that one as sorghum? What happens? These are nothing but the nodes and internodes. These are nothing but which one here? Nodes and internodes. From the basal part of the stem, cluster of fibrous roots are developing. From the basal portion of the stem, cluster of fibrous roots are developing. But what happens means, this as the stem it is very long, due to heavy wind it may breaks, it may broken. What happens means, in order to overcome that character, it produces which roots? Means adventitious roots from the basal node of the stem. From the basal node of the stem, which one is arising? Means adventitious roots are developing. That means from the basal node of the stem, the adventitious roots which are developing, whether they are function like a root? No, it cannot helps in absorption of water and minerals, but it helps in only mechanical support. That means the stilt roots, they help in which support means mechanical support. Stilt root, it helps in mechanical support. That means roots which can act as a root, but it does not functions like a original root. That means it does not help in absorption of water and minerals. What happens? It gives only mechanical support. And what is that function that is performed? That is nothing but absorption of water and minerals. It is performed by which roots? Means that is nothing but the fibrous roots which are developing from the base of the stem. It helps in mechanical support. It helps in absorption of water and minerals. That functions are performed by fibrous roots. But whereas the adventitious root, it is not performing the absorption of water and minerals. It gives only mechanical support. That is nothing but stilt roots or brace roots. And after that, stilt roots or brace roots, another roots are also present in plant, namely known as another roots, that is nothing but prop roots or pillar roots. Another root that is nothing but prop roots or it is also called as pillar roots. Another root that is nothing but prop root or pillar root. It is shown by which plant? That plant namely known as Ficus bengalensis. That plant namely known as Ficus bengalensis. That plant namely known as Ficus bengalensis. In this Ficus bengalensis, what these prop roots or pillar roots they are doing? That is nothing but it also plays an important role in mechanical support. It also plays an important role in which support means mechanical support. Why it plays an important role in mechanical support means this taproot, as this Ficus bengalensis, as it shows long slender branches. Long slender branches without any mechanical support, they may broken due to heavy wind. In order to protect themselves from which one these prop roots or pillar roots are developing? From branches. These prop roots or pillar roots, they are developing from branches. That means they are developing from the branches. That prop roots or pillar roots, slowly they are moving towards the soil and they are penetrated into the soil and gives mechanical support to the Ficus bengalensis. That means this one, it is the prop roots or pillar roots, whether it is acting as a original root. No, it is not acting as a original root. It is a function like a root. It gives mechanical support, but it does not help in absorption of water and minerals. That means that function is performed by taproot system. That means Ficus bengalensis, it shows taproot system. It can absorb water and minerals. But what happens? These prop roots or pillar roots, whether they are developing from the branches. Yes, they are developing from the branches and they are growing towards the soil, get penetrated into the soil, and it gives only mechanical support. That means in this Ficus bengalensis, dimorphic roots can be seen. Yes, why? Because as it shows prop roots or pillar roots, as it shows taproot, so it is showing dimorphic roots. So it is also showing two types of roots. That means morphologically, two types of roots can be seen. Yes, that is nothing but dimorphic roots. That is nothing but dimorphic roots can be seen in Ficus bengalensis. One root, it is nothing but prop roots or pillar roots. Another root, it is nothing but taproot. So this is about prop roots or pillar roots. Prop roots are called as pillar roots. Nematophores. Next goes to nematophores. These nematophores are also called as respiratory roots. Also called as respiratory roots. These respiratory roots are also called as breathing roots. This is also called as breathing roots. That means nematophores are also called as respiratory roots, are also called as breathing roots. What are the main examples? That means it shows two examples. One, it is Rhizophora. One, it is Rhizophora, and the second one, it is Avicennia. One, it is Rhizophora, and another one, it is Avicennia. Nematophores also called as respiratory roots, also called as breathing roots. As what are the two examples means? That is nothing but Rhizophora and Avicennia. what happens, why these nematophores are needed? That means this rhizophora and Abyssinia, they are grown in dampy marine soils. That means these plants, they are growing in dampy marine soils. That means whether they are growing in salt water, yes, they are growing in salt water. That means rhizophora and Abyssinia, as it is growing in salty water, can we call that one as halophytes? Yes. What is meant by halophytes? The plants which are growing in marine water or salty areas, so that plants are nothing but halophytes. And here this rhizophora and Abyssinia, they has to get their oxygen from which one? They has to get oxygen from the soil. Whether the soil, whether it is poorer in oxygen? Yes. Why? Because the pore spaces, it is completely filled with water. Completely filled with water. Due to which, whether it shows any oxygen in the soil? No. That means whether it is showing poorer in the oxygen? Yes. For their survival, they has to absorb oxygen. That oxygen itself, it is poorer in the soil. That means what happens means some of the lateral roots. What I am saying here? Some of the lateral roots. Some of the lateral roots, whether they are growing apogeotropically, whether they are growing towards sunlight, yes, this some of the lateral roots, they are growing apogeotropically. That means whether they are growing towards sunlight, yes, they are growing towards sunlight. They are growing towards sunlight. That roots are nothing but nematophores or respiratory roots or breathing roots. That means this one is nothing but respiratory roots or nematophores or breathing roots. What happens means in this, for example, in rhizophora and Abyssinia, root also grows positively geotropic, root also grows positively phototropic. Which one is growing positively phototropic means nematophores or respiratory roots or breathing roots, they are growing positively phototropic, negatively geotropic. But whereas the taproot system, some of the lateral roots and the taproot system, whether they are growing towards the soil, yes, that is nothing but positively geotropic and negatively phototropic. That means this is nothing but nematophore or respiratory root or breathing root. What happens means towards the apical portion of the nematophores, or respiratory roots or breathing roots, what happens means small openings are present. It shows which one? Small openings are present. As it shows small openings, these small openings present towards the apex of the respiratory roots or nematophores or breathing roots, it is nothing but nematodes. These nematodes helps in gaseous exchange. Which one helps in gaseous exchange in the nematophores means that is nothing but the nematodes. Nematodes are the small openings present towards the apex of the nematophore or respiratory root or breathing root. Now can you tell me morphologically nematodes? What I am saying here? Morphologically nematodes are equal to anatomically to lenticels. Anatomically equal to which cells here? Lenticels. Morphologically nematodes is equal to, anatomically equal to lenticels. Lenticels means, as you know already, that is studied during secondary growth. Which type of secondary growth? Extrastellar secondary growth. In extrastellar secondary growth, lenticels can be studied. That means in this, whether extrastellar secondary growth is present means yes, it shows extrastellar secondary growth. That means it shows extrastellar secondary growth. That means it shows extrastellar secondary growth. This is about the nematophores. Once again, nematophores, respiratory roots or breathing roots. What are the examples? Rhizophora and Avicennia. Grows in damp, marshy, saline soils. And they are growing in a marshy, saline soil, so they are called as halophytes. The plants which grows in salty areas are called as halophytes. And it shows dimorphic roots. What are the dimorphic roots? Means one, it is nematophores which grows apogeotropically, which grows towards sunlight, and another root that is nothing but the taproot, and some of the lateral roots grows towards soil, that is nothing but positively geotropic and negatively phototropic. And in this some of the lateral roots which grows apogeotropically, these roots are nothing but nematophores or respiratory roots or breathing roots. Towards the apex of these nematophores, small apical openings are present, small openings which helps in gases exchange, that is nothing but nematodes. Morphologically nematodes, anatomically equal to lenticels. In this extrastellar secondary growth is present, but there is no question about intrastellar secondary growth. It shows only extrastellar secondary growth. This is about nematophores or respiratory roots or breathing roots.